Hello, hello. We are back. We are absolutely back. How is everyone? Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to Guy in a Hat Games. We are playing Final Fantasy XIV. Today we are learning Scholar, myself, with the legendary ZakashiGaming, the one and only Zak Fair, a rare breed, an actual human in Final Fantasy XIV. He will be learning Tank. So, Mr. Zakashi, let's get you on the call. Get yourself ready. Let me turn the tunes down because I can't hear myself speak. Let me know when one is ready. Where are you? Actually, am I even heard? Can you all hear me? Are we doing well? I cannot find you. Where are you? There we go. And start voice call. Yes, we're doing that.
Hello.
Hello. There you are. How are you doing?
Oh God, I just thought I had to mute you because I was like listening to you through through Twitch.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I used to do that when we used to do our our voice cast. Hold on, can you say some words?
Oh, hello, hello.
Yep.
Testing.
Right. Got you on the mic. Have I got you on the stream? Have a look. Get my phone open. Stream.
Testing
Say
on
some
Twitch.
words.
Testing on Twitch.
Yeah, we can hear you. We're good.
All right, there we go.
Oh, I can actually have my Twitch on the phone and not have it die. It's beautiful. And not even plugged in either. It's having new phones is a beautiful thing. Right. So, first things first. I'm over on Lynch, so get yourself over to Gridania.
Okay. Travel.
Get yourself to Gridania.
Which new Gridania?
Yeah, it's like the main one.
All right, I'm on the way.
It would help if I swap my screen. There we go. And let's get the Bernard up. Block chat. Oh, hold on.
You?
Not quite covering.
I see it to you. I see it to you.
There he is! Yeah. The man, the myth, the legend, the normal human.
Yeah, the only human to exist in
There
Final
he is.
14.
There he is.
Oh God, I've got from.
Look at him. Look at him.
Accept. There we go.
We've got him on, chat. We've got him on. There he is. Look, he's here. He lives. Hey, Katha. How are you doing? Hope you're okay.
Hey.
Nice to see you again. Welcome in. We're playing Final Fantasy 14. Look at him. There he is in all his armored glory.
Yeah. Just casually waving through me. Because that's what usually humans get. The disrespect that humans get on this game.
I know, look around. There's barely a human.
There's just barely a human around at all.
Hope you're doing well, Katha. Alright. So, here's the plan. What I was thinking. In terms of the story, I think you should play that on your own at your own pace. That's the point of the story in this game. You play it at your own pace. Don't let me or... Anyway, don't worry, Katha. Totally get you. If you need to go pee, go pee. Totally understand.
Oh my God, what the hell was that?
Oh, that's someone up here. Oh. You'll hear lots of sound in as you're playing. But during the story, just play it however you want. Just go at it at your own pace in your own time. It's not a problem. That's the best way to experience a story, in my opinion. There's other ways to do it, but do New Game Plus, go at your own pace. So for this stream, we are going to stick to up to level 30 dungeons, and we're just going to go over them over and over and over again until you feel comfortable, and then we'll go to up to 50. Reason being because when you play lower level dungeons, your skills get locked up to the skills that you would normally have access to.
Okay.
And that way it gets you practicing basic fundamentals using only the skills that you've got at that time. Because at the moment, like, I'm a scholar and I've got all these skills hotbarred. I've got no idea what half of these do. Because I don't remember. Get my little fairy out. So by going over the very beginnings, we are practicing the basic skills that we have, and to be honest, is what we're going to be using mostly.
Mostly, yeah.
So two ways you can do it. We can you can watch me go through a dungeon once as a tank, and I'll talk what I am doing, what I'm pressing, why I am pressing it. And then second run through, you'll go through and I'll join you as healer. Or we can just do that step straight away. How would you rather do it?
I'll just do it straight away.
Okay.
Just go straight in.
I can't remember. Hold on. Let's get you in my party.
Ah. A box has popped up. I will press yes.
Done. Okay. So, beauty finder. We're not going to do dailies today. It might be a bit too much for now.
Okay.
You're just starting out. We can do it later if you feel comfortable. So we're just going to stick to these dungeons, and we're going to do the very first one, level 15.
Okay.
Can't remember which one of these I need. Limit the rule actually juicy, something a bit difficult. I remember. Unrestricted party, yep. And level sync, yep, that's what we want. Yes, that's what we want. Loot rules, hit the loot if you like. They're only going to be sold later.
Is it just going to be me and you, or is it going to be?
Yeah, it'll just be me and you, no one else.
Okay.
It'll just be me and you. We
Right.
are level capped, so we are going in at level 50, but our item levels will still be quite high. And to be honest, we've got enough of a party to get through it. The point is not really to get through it, it's to teach us fundamentals of what we are doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we get through it, we can leave whenever we want. Cather, initially want to see a fight so I can see if I like it. Sure. So in this game, there is basically 3 groups of jobs, sessions. There's lots of jobs, but the 3 main ones are tanking, healing, and DPS. Zach is playing. Oh, he's getting a cutscene. Okay.
Oh.
If you've seen it before or you want to watch it later, you can always skip it. It's not a problem. So there's tanking, healing, DPS. Tanking is what Zach is going to be learning today.
Yeah, again.
He is basically taking the lead of the party. So his job is to get all enemies on his attention and do damage. Healing is, depending on how you phrase it, it's not about keeping party at full health. It's keeping the party. Hey, my HP is 420. Let's move the thing here so you can see the people who don't know. I do have a chat box, but I am covering it in case I get messages from so and so. Is the sheep. There we go. And DPS does all of the damage as fast as possible. We are missing a DPS today, but that's okay. We're here to learn. So, first things first, as a tank stance, make sure that is always popped off. It's always turned off when you come into a dungeon. You always want to make sure it is popped on. That way, enemies are aggroed to you.
Okay.
So, and it's different per job class. I don't know what it is for who are you? A paladin.
Paladin, yeah.
Find out. You go into start menu.
Okay.
And we're going to actions and traits.
Actions and traits, yeah, got that.
Actions is all of your abilities, and wonderfully enough, all the ones you can't use right now are turned off, but you can still read them. So for me, all of these are turned off because I'm not at the appropriate level in this dungeon.
Yes, anything up to 15 I can use.
Yeah. So for me, I can use Ruin, which is my DPS. With healers, they typically only have one. Ruin and Bio, which is deals damage over time. So I need to use that first and then use Ruin. And I've got Resurrection, which is... So for you, somewhere in here, there will be a skill which turns on tank stance. I think it's called an enmity. The thing that gets cast. So do you know?
Significantly, I've got Iron Will, and I should.
That's the one. Tank is for Paladin, Iron Will. For Warrior, it's Enraged, I think. I can't remember. I don't remember spell names. I just remember the icons themselves. So make sure you pop that off now. Whatever you have it mapped on your controller. Again, there's no rush. Even if this whole stream, we are in this dungeon and we don't finish it.
Just literally do the only dungeon.
There's no rush. There's no pressure.
Where did I put that one to? Because I got the whole new things and then they're all... It's
okay. We're taking our time. There's no pressure. So if you have questions, ask them and I'll answer them as best I can.
I can't find it. Why did I put it on? I made sure I put all the stuff on, but where has it gone?
Oh, can you share your screen?
Oh, can I?
Oh, are you plugged in the capture card?
Yeah.
Oh, can you share your screen on Discord then? So I can see where you're looking.
Oh, can I? Can I do that? Oh no, because that'll be on the. It's not through. I'm not doing it off OBS, am I?
You don't need OBS. Oh wait.
Will it just? Yeah, because I'll only.
No, you do. Yeah, you do.
I
Yeah.
haven't
Okay.
got the
That's fine.
Yes,
it is a sheep.
Screen set
It's
up
Bernard.
on the computer. Right,
When
give
I
me
come
a
out of the
sec.
dungeon, I'll show you.
I know what to do. I know what I'm doing.
It's okay.
Right,
Take your
I've got
time.
Actions, traits, and then get Iron Will on the hotbar.
So yeah, Katha, healer is there to heal and support. Which I'm playing healer today, so it'd be good. Healer is not a class I normally play, so I'm rusty on it as well. That's why both of us are learning but different jobs. Healer in this game is not solely just healing. Healers in this game also have attack spells. You have to contribute to the damage of killing the enemies. Don't think of this game as other healers, rather as just doing support. You are there to kill the enemy as fast as possible. Think of it as future mitigation of damage by killing it sooner. This game with healers, it's also not about healing your party to maximum unless the need calls for it. It's keep your characters healed high enough so they stay alive. That's the healer's job, is to keep party members alive, and there's a difference between keeping them healed and keeping them alive. It's keeping them healed just enough so you can get back to doing damage as quick as possible. It's not like World of Warcraft, so I believe, I don't quite know World of Warcraft that well, but in World of Warcraft, healers are there to heal and nothing else. Heal, buff, support. And of course, within tanking, healing, and DPS, there is lots of different, I'll show you here. So the tanks, got Gladiator, Warrior, Dark Knight, Gunbreaker, and they all do different things in different ways, but they have the same job, which is to tank. You got your melee DPS, do all of the damage up close and personal, physical, all the damage, a distance, magical rage, all the damage far away but with magic. And then you got your healers, which is all of the healing but different types. So White Mage and I think Astrologian, don't quote me. I think Astrologian, don't quote me because I've not put any time in Astrologian. They are pure healers, so they do big healing numbers. Scholar and Sage, they are what's called barrier healing. They are all about putting up barriers and resistance to mitigate damage, so you're not getting hit as hard, because their healing spells aren't as strong as a White Mage. If you want an easy time with a healer, play White Mage, because it's one button most of the time. But it's all about just playing a bit of all of them to see what your favorite is. I much prefer to play DPS, specifically Samurai or Reaper, definitely Reaper, because I like doing big numbers and damage, and it's the easier ones to play. All of the have typically the easier ones. So, do you have your tank stance on?
Yeah, I've got it ready. So
okay, pop it off.
I'll use it now, yeah?
As soon as you get into the dungeon, pop it off. As soon as you arrive in the dungeon, pop it off. You can pop it off, I believe, as you are waiting for everyone else to watch the cutscenes.
Right.
Also put it on when you're out in the field with party members, and that is your job as tank.
Yeah.
There is different circumstances where you don't want it on. We're not covering that today.
Okay.
We are just getting you through this dungeon. So I'm going to quickly just go over what I have. So I have Ruin, which is my DPS. Sooner. Yep, gets rid of different effects. So if you got poison on you. Physics is target heal. Okay, that's cool. Let's find me what my targets are. So my left and right is picking my enemies. Up and down is swapping through party members. So if you have your controller set up the same way as I have, you should be able to do that too. So up, down between the party members, left and right between the enemies.
Yep. That's it.
Cool. So what else are you going to need to know? X. Oh, it's... which controller are you using? Oh, PS5.
PS5.
Oh, hold on. I need to get my PS5 controller out and put it in front of me so I know exactly which buttons to have to map it. I've got an 8-bit DOE and it uses the Nintendo layout.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I melted my... it's a long story, chat, but I've melted my 360 pad.
You completely soldered that one.
Yep. So I had a broken USB port on my Xbox controller, and I thought, oh, I'll learn some soldering. This might be a good thing to solder. I think this one was a bit too extreme mode to solder. I managed to get the USB off, but I ended up burning the board around it, and I didn't even want to put it back together, so I just threw it out. But I've learned some skills. I learned how to correctly use a heat gun. So... I got anything else? I do. Okay, I've got Resurrection, self-explanatory, show cast, so I can cast spells without any knockback effects. So if someone hits me, I won't get knockback effects. Nullifies knockbacks. Swift cast, I can cast a spell immediately. So I'm just going to quickly practice on you. So heal. There we go. And I think I can also do this as well. Away, heal, day, guard. The cool thing with Scholar is I've got a fairy. So this is kind of like...
I've got Pixie.
I got a pixie, so it's kind of like a pet class in, say, World of Warcraft. But I don't know how to order pet to remain, place. Oh, okay, cool. There. Cool. I know with Scholar, Fairy auto heals, so as long as I get them in the right spots, so over here, and I want them to be in the middle of an enemy pack. So back to you. So we can see some bats.
We can.
And you can see from my screen, there's like a very thin yellow line.
Yeah.
That means when you go up to them, those ones are going to be pulled because they'll, so you're going to pull this first group. So now you got your tank stank. You got your tank stank.
Tank stank. That's the one.
Hold on. So first thing you want to do is you should have a skill, which is a long range skill. You only have one. You'll only ever have one.
Shield lob.
Yes, so that's basically throwing your shield, pulling it back. So as you are approaching a group, you are throwing that, or whatever tank it is, at one of them, and it should draw the attention of all of them. Right?
Okay. Right. So I just literally took that off.
So put that back on. For me, on mine, it's something like a shoulder and a shoulder button. So make sure that is absolutely on.
Yeah, I'm putting it on because some of these I haven't got the skills for at the moment because we're only doing.
That's fine.
I'm gonna.
Do you have an AOE?
So, yeah, I've got one, and that's Total Eclipse. Totally.
Do you have access to it?
Hey.
Do you have access to it?
Yep. It's on my right. It's on my left shoulder button. It's the only one I have.
That's fine.
AOE.
So strat is you throw your shield.
Yeah, I need to.
Hang on, it's draw aggro.
Right.
And then you are spamming AOE.
And then, so go straight into AOE attack.
Yeah, but you want to be
close.
Today we're not doing wall-to-wall pulls. We're doing group at a time. You're going very slowly. I don't want to say wall-to-wall pull is advanced because it's actually expected.
Yeah.
But not demanded. Or it shouldn't be demanded. A fair player wouldn't demand it from you.
That on. And I'll put it on there. Right, okay, I got it. So if I go... There we go. Right, shield. Yeah, I've got it. So it's that side. So R2, and then L2, and then there's my shield lob.
Yep.
Okay. So if I highlight over one of the black bats, and then shield lob it.
Yep.
And then
as you're going towards it.
As I'm going towards it.
Yeah. And
okay.
during wall-to-wall pulls, you'll be using sweet shield lob at any spare enemy you can see as you are running through the dungeon.
Yeah.
And to make your final stop. But for now, over here, we'll just practice this. It's shield lob and AOE.
Yeah.
If there is 3 or more.
Yeah.
Or single target rotation if there's 2 or less.
Okay, but we'll just do this one as an AOE because there's only 2.
No, if there's 2, in terms of maths, it's better to do a single target AOE, a single target attack. So your single target rotations. If
Okay,
there's
just my normal
3 or
rotation.
more,
Yeah.
AoE.
Okay.
So 3 or more, AoE.
Okay.
2 or less, single target.
Right then.
Okay.
Yep. So just go with my single target rotations.
So we can see 2, can't we? So it's single, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So hold on. Let me get my. I got my ruin there. I've got my whatever the fairy's doing. I got my lucid dream. Repose. Swift. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Again,
Here we go.
it's only us 2.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Right.
Not a problem. It's okay. We will deal with it. All right. Take your time.
Right then. Let's. You ready?
No
to
problem,
go?
Katha. Thanks for the lurk. So you're in charge. Take the lead.
All
I'll be
let's
right
go.
behind you.
There we go.
That's good. My fairy's doing all the work.
Yeah, I did
Cool.
that.
You did it. Well done. Congratulations. That was great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well done.
GG completed it, mate. There you go. Tank
There
all
you go.
done.
GG.
Now we just gotta go for the rest of it.
It's humble beginnings, my friend.
Yeah.
Humble beginnings.
All right then.
Well done.
Yay.
Right. So, that's it. We go to the next one.
Okay then.
So, I'm doing it wrong here. So, I'm supposed to be right behind you, not ahead of you. I'm supposed to be... Oh, shit.
Oh god.
Well, there you go. It's trial by fire. It's okay. You know what to do.
I do. I used to provoke then, thinking that I'll try and get it off.
No, it's me. Any of your party members can provoke, but I made a mistake, so my apologies.
Right.
Again, that's exactly what I was saying. I went ahead of you, and I should be behind you. Close behind you, but a reasonable distance. I don't know. There is a good distance I need to be behind you. What a tune.
Right.
Oh, make sure you check your map. Make sure you have all the areas like this. You get achievements by fully exploring the map.
Okay.
So if you haven't, doesn't matter what the other party members are doing, you go and explore the map. Okay?
I assume because I'm the tank, they all follow me no matter what.
In an ideal world, yes.
Bloody memo.
But you do you. You know, it's... You haven't explored all the map, you want to go in a room, and people go, what you doing? We go this way. You can just say, I need to explore the map.
Okay.
And they'll go,
So how far
okay.
do you have to actually do you have to do a full, like, go right round, or just...
No, just check your map, and then it'll fill in most of it when you're close in the area.
Okay, right.
You don't have to go... You don't have to touch wall to wall.
Okay. I don't...
Tune, by the way.
Oh.
Boom.
Right, there we go. Right, off we go. Okay, there is 3 of them here.
So what do we do when there's 3 or more?
The AoE attack.
That's the one.
Right, so if I highlight over the cave Aurelia.
So pick any of them. So what are you going to do first?
Shield lob.
That's the one. And then
AoE attack.
Yep.
Alright then. Let's go! Yeah.
That's it. Well done.
Oh, big attack, that's the one. There we go. Big attack. Big attack.
Yep.
Do I just keep spamming that?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Tank's
Just
quite
spam that.
very simple.
Okay. Ah, okay.
And then when you've got two or less,
yeah,
swap to single.
Rotations. Yeah.
Yep. Great, well done. That was great.
Oh,
Have you got the hang of that?
man. A pressure.
Got the hang of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing we want to do to learn is your defensive abilities. You should
like
have at least one.
Flight.
Yep. So I've got my up here. I've got my warrior one. You won't have some of these, but you'll have some other ones like rampart. Yep. I don't know what your tank is, so you have to have a look. You have to go into actions.
Yep.
And find out which one. So make sure, like arm's length, that's one shared by multiples. So you have some that are shared. I think it's called roll.
I've got fight or flight, which is that increase my damage.
What does that say?
Then I've got... Hey?
What was fight or flight?
That increases damage dealt by 25%.
Okay, so with that one, I would pop it off once you've finished gathering all the enemies.
Yeah.
So once you're doing your dungeon run and you are shield throwing all the enemies, when you stop, pop that off.
Yep. Okay.
To get more damage. So
right, so
I'm just googling 14.
Rampart is reduces damage taken by 20%.
That's one, yeah.
Iron blow. Oh no, low blow. Sorry, is stuns the target.
That will come in handy.
And then you got provoke.
You're gonna need that eventually. Don't
Extra
focus on them
friendly.
right now.
No.
Which is
that's
getting
it.
you through.
That's all you. That's all I can use.
Okay, that's fine. So, rampart is your first defensive ability.
Yeah.
So when again you have stopped.
Yep.
After you finish doing your pulls, when you have stopped, pop one off. So whichever one it is. So for me and my warrior, because I'm maximum level at the moment, I've got all of these to use. And they basically do the same thing. So this one is reduces damage by 10%, reduces damage by 30, 20, and nullifies knockback. It's a different variation of it. So you want to go through these. When you are a paladin, you'll have a few as well, one at a time. Don't pop them off at the same time. It just means more work for the healer.
Okay, just one, yeah.
So you do one, you'll get a countdown somewhere. That'll say this is active for 10, 30 seconds. I don't know which one it is. It's on 6 seconds. That one's 15. So once that's finished, you go on to the next one, rampart. Once that's finished, you go on to the next one, and so on, so forth. So you've got rampart.
Yep.
So you've got a skill which increases your attack power, and you have rampart, which increases your defense.
Yes.
In this dungeon, you don't really need to use rampart. You'll get through it easily. It's not a problem. But I would get into the rhythm of practicing it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
When we get to a boss, we use it in a completely different setting, which we'll get to. So, I'm gonna go again.
Okay.
So you go ahead. Again, don't forget, complete your map if you haven't already.
Actually, did I do? I mean, I can't remember now. I've done. Obviously, I did do this dungeon a long time ago, but I think it is done. I think it's predominantly done.
You always should check your map. It'll show you what bits are hidden or not.
Oh, I think there is actually some bits I actually didn't get to.
That's okay. We can do them now.
A bit further down. They're much further down.
We can do them now.
Okay, well, there's only the one here, from looks like it.
Well, you know what to do?
So... Okay, now... Oh no, there's two. There's two. There's two!
So what I'm doing for anybody watching is I have a... Right, you need to use provoke.
Okay.
Right, what was happening there was one of the enemies was focusing on me, so I was drawing too much anonymity. So you want to keep track of what the enemies are doing. If you can see one of them going over towards your party members and not towards you, that's where provoke comes in.
Could I not just shield lob at
You
them?
can, if they're too far away from you. You can use both in tandem. Use shield lob if they're a bit too far away. Or you can use AoE or provoke. Provoke gives the most anonymity. Shield lob gives the most, followed by provoke if I'm remembering right. So if there's 2 or less enemies, it is single rotation, but you want to do it. So if there's 2 enemies, use single rotation on one and then quickly move on to the other one.
Yeah.
So they've both got anonymity on you. Or you could also use different ways of doing it. You could either do one quick AoE and then go to single.
Yeah, because then they should hopefully get your... Yeah, should get the aggro on you then.
Like shield lob, you should be doing it on every single one before you are getting there. You should have plenty of time to do it. So if you're seeing 3 in the distance, you should just be close enough to throw one and then at least another one.
Yeah.
And then the other one should be angry enough.
Okay.
But any problems? We'll go through this dungeon many times it takes. Or maybe the next one. We'll go. So we at a boss yet? No. So here we've got lots.
There is for you, yeah.
And they will keep coming until we get rid of the clam.
Okay.
So here, really, this is where the DPS would come in. Tank would focus on all the little dots, and the healer would heal whoever's needed and attack the little dots, and the DPS would get rid of the clam. So for this purpose, I am going to be the DPS because luckily the fairy is pretty good at keeping you healed anyway.
Okay.
So for any scholars out there, good practice is you've got a fairy here, and you've got a pet bar here where my mouse is hovering. I play on controller and mouse for these sort of occasions. For my pet or fairy, there is one called place. I can place the fairy anywhere I want within that cone. So I am going to get the fairy to go right in the middle of the stack, because the fairy heals in a AoE cone. Enemies can't attack the fairies. The fairy is an NPC. They can't be touched. Bang in tune, by the way. So you want to get your fairy right in that pack, so they can get the most efficient healing done. So, what's your plan? What are you going to do?
Okay, so my plan is I'm going to shield lob at those seekers as I'm running in. Then I'm going to use all my AoE attacks.
Right.
Along with a defensive buff.
Which is Rampart.
You're going to be doing DPS stuff. So
yeah, and I can come back to healing
if need be.
Yeah, but the fairies at this level is plenty good enough, so I don't have to worry about that.
Okay, so I'm going to...
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, let's go.
make sure you're standing close to the clap as well.
Okay, so I can do...
So your AoE reaches all of them, because that clam is going to spawn more.
Yeah.
And you want to draw the attention of all of them. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
I can't remember if the clam actually dies or not. Or am I just... Oh no, it does die.
No,
I was wondering if the clam actually died. And it was one of those infinite ones. Okay, so great, good job, you did it. So now... Where's the thing? There we go. So there's at least one.
Yeah, I think them two
You
are
want to
together.
practice doing a wall-to-wall pull on this section. Can you see them? We got a cave oral, a fossil shell, and then
the seekers in the
a shell up there. So do you want to do just a small pull of this one?
All the way up to the shell. All the way
Just
up
to the first clam.
Yeah.
So what I can do is I can get my fairy. I can get it right up. Okay, I can't yet. I can put it there at least. So this is actually a very good practice. This is just a very short one. So, and you can see the yellow line. They are connected together. So if you get one, the other one's going to come.
Yeah.
So you want to
get the shield lob ready at just one of them.
Yep.
So, and then them two
and
will
as
go,
you are running,
go and get shield lob
that one.
And then go and stand close to the clam.
Yep. And then
just AoE.
And just spam AoE until there's less for you to do.
And then go back to my single rotations.
And don't forget what you do when you stop.
Rampart.
Yep. Because you got to be pulling a bit more now.
Yeah, definitely going to need a rampart on this one. Okay, I'm going to try to remember
again,
all that.
Take your time.
Okay. Yeah.
It's quite hard to die at this bit. Doesn't matter if you do. We'll just do it again.
Okay. Knowing my luck, it'll be what I can do easy and die. Right, I'm going to shield lob the cave.
For anybody watching, what I'm going to do, I have a spell called Bio, which is damage over time. As Zach is running, I am using Bio on whatever he shield lobs at just after he does the shield lob, because if I do it before he does the shield lob, anonymity will come to me, not him. So there is so that's why I always say healer is actually one of the harder ones to play. It's all about using skills at a specific time behind other people. So when Zach does shield lob, I do a bio, and then when he shield lobs another one, I do bio just after that. And then when he stops, I'm not going to bother bioing all those little dots because they'll be dead instantly, but I am going to bio the clam. And once the clam has been bioed, I can go straight into doing ruin, which is my only single one. And I can do it all. Most healers have a damage over time. You want to get them off quickly before you stop. Because in this game, it's all about killing the enemies as fast as humanly possible, including the healers. So when you're ready.
All right then, let's go.
So I'm doing bio. And I'm doing bio on that one. So did you shield lob the other one?
I have done now. And I'm stopping, I'm using thingy, and now I'm going to go
and I'm doing bio here. Oh. Bad news, my fairy did not follow me. It's still over there. Fairy? Hello? Fairy? Hello? Never mind. Looks like I'm healing you now.
That's fine. Luckily we managed it.
It's because our item level's quite high.
Yeah.
So we're not going to die anyway. Hello? Fairy? You're supposed to be helping us. Disobedient little shit. Hello?
Definitely.
Can you see it?
From SMT, that one, definitely.
Yep. Hello? There we go.
Oh, finally.
There we go. But Master, you told me to stay there. It's like, yes, I know. I'm the one in the wrong. Flash poke.
Is there no? Can you set it to follow me?
I don't know, actually. Good point. No.
No.
I could do none of those things. Oh well. So GG, well done.
Yep.
I need to remember what my fairy is doing. So I need to learn that. Don't forget, we're both learning.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true. Right. Okay. So we need to.
Oh shit, that's my fault. I didn't.
No,
I
you're
did
doing it
not
again.
see them. I did not see them at all.
It's fine. I'm learning.
I didn't.
At least I'm learning.
So one of them's still aggroed on me.
Okay. Let me do a.
So you want to do AOE or a single
AOE.
one? There we go.
There we
If
go.
you could see on your screen, you'll have 2 dots next to the enemy. Because on my screen it's green, on your screen it's red. Can you see
Yeah.
it? If it's red, they're targeting you. If it's green, they're not
and if they're
targeting
green,
you.
they're not. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good indication to see who haven't I aggroed.
Okay.
So if you're in a pull and there's a green dot, shield bash them to you straight away, or AOE, or whatever, do whatever it takes to get them onto you.
Yes.
It's not always your fault. It could be the other person's just didn't time their attacks well. But again, it's not about blame. It's not a blame game in this game. It's
No.
just deal with it and reward them when they've done well. So well done for you there. So I need to.
Okay.
I am quite bad myself as a player of being impatient. I am impatient. I will quickly go ahead if I feel like they're too slow. So I need to learn some patience. Tune. So
Okay, so
here we go.
Just all the okay, so
oh, that's right. I can only attack when arms open. Oh shit. Oh, there we go.
oh,
Okay, so easy.
that's another one done.
Oh, next one.
Um,
There you go.
where's the
One
okay? The
there.
clam's over there. Right. So I will.
In some dungeons, you can actually skip some mob groups. So there's ones over here, if you can see.
Yeah, we don't need to
There's
get
a
them.
chest there, which you don't
Oh.
need.
Okay.
You kind of if open it if you want to. Just you're not. There's nothing in there you're going to use at this level unless you want to put it on another one. But it's
Right.
better just to buy them or just acquire them. So do you want to get it or do you want to skip it?
Oh, we'll skip it.
Okay.
We'll skip it. Right. So I've got. There's a new monster there, an aura bomb. So I got to make sure I shield lob the aura bomb. And
Yeah,
then over to the
and-
seekers, and then go back, and then go to the clam.
If you really wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
you could do both clams. Oh
Where's
no,
the
can
other
you?
one?
There's one right at the back.
Right in the distance, right?
Oh no, because that one's gonna keep spawning anyway. Never mind. Just go to the first
We
clam.
just have to go to the first one anyway. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'll wait for you. Take the charge.
It's not letting me thingy. Oh, I've got it anyway. Okay, I've got it. I've got it. I think. I hope. Right, use
Oh,
an
it's
area
so
attack.
hard playing a healer on a controller. It's not really optimized for it. That's why a mouse comes handy. Have you got Rampart open?
Yeah, I've already done it.
So it might need to... Oh, there we go. Keep spamming. So I've got some red. Go.
There we go.
Did it?
Oof. Okay.
So yes,
I'm brave.
I did one heal for myself. Even my fairy was, but I was a bit too quick on the heal because even though I remember reading somewhere like how far should your tank's HP go down to before you should comfortably start healing, and the answer is 1.
1.
It's if your tank is going to die in any minute, heal them.
Yeah.
Or even at 1, because
tanks
tanks have different abilities where they can be reduced to 1 and still live.
Yeah.
I think warrior is. Oh wait, phone's going off. I think Hoya
is.
home guard.
I know that one. It's oh, what is it called?
I don't know what it is for Paladin. Paladin has a skill where it can go to 1 HP and still live.
I'm just looking for it now. I was literally just looking at it. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Literally just looking at it. Well, I know I'm not looking at it, but just looking at it. Well, I know. Let's put it down. No. Oh no, is it? No, that's not it.
Right. Then it's just a quick climb over here. You can actually do this dungeon solo. It's
Unveil.
the first dungeon.
Oh, Hollow Ground. That's it.
Hollow ground. So what does that say?
Renders you impervious to most attacks. So it's basically 10 seconds of literally being invulnerable to literally survive everything.
That's the one you pop off first at big pulls, not Rampart or any of the other ones. It's that one. Actually, no. I think you pop that one off when you get to low.
When you're getting low health. Health.
You're right there. You are right. Well done. You pop that off when you get into low, like you think you're going to die sometime soon.
Yeah.
Right. Excuse me.
I need to.
Can I make this one bigger?
Used to pop in. Not pop in. Highlighting the enemies and then going in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I don't do it.
Oh, you've gone ahead of me. I was miles away. I'm actually not going to do anything. You've got this. There we go. Okay, I'll help now. See, this dungeon you can actually solo yourself.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see how you can do it.
And now we have... Oh, get rid of this shit. Oh, now we've got a boss. Oh, okay. Alright, indicated by this purple line. It's always a purple line, you can see it.
Ah, right, okay.
So, you know those defensive abilities?
Yeah.
Rampart and all them? Mm-hmm. The boss will do an attack solely focused on you, and it looks like a red ring over your around your character's like midsection.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's a couple of rings. When you see that, that's when you pop one off.
Okay.
Don't really need to do it any other time, unless you're going to get caught in an AoE.
Okay.
Only when you're going to get caught in an AoE, or when you see that red, and it'll have a sound effect as well. It's like, and if I see it, I'll say, now.
Is that the one that follows you no matter what?
Yes.
Right, okay. I did those, and I was the moron, or the one that newbie at the time, because it was one of those I didn't realize until much later, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't run towards the people.
Yes. You don't, if a tank, you want to keep AoE, you want to keep attacks off everybody else.
Yeah, I know.
So, when the boss
I
appears,
just panicked.
it's okay, it's alright, you're allowed to panic. It's what we
Yeah.
learn along the way. So, what you want to do when you
Is this boss
see...
just going to spawn in? I think it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
So when you're in every other dungeon, you'll see the boss well ahead of time. When everyone's ready, as you're approaching the boss,
Yeah.
shield Lampart, always, every single time. Every single time. Throw your shield, get anonymity on you, and
Shield
then
Bob.
back yourself up against the
Oh,
upper wall
Yeah.
or end of an arena, whatever the case is. Make sure everybody else is off of you.
yeah.
Is off of them, sorry. And then you just have to learn on the fly. Hey Matt, you okay? Hope you're doing well. Hey Paigey, how's it going? We're doing well actually. Zach's picked it up very quickly.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning again.
Zach's very much picked it up quickly. So for any future scholars out there, a good thing to do is, if you know we are about to approach a boss arena, as we are now, get your fairy, click place, stick it in the middle, as far as you can go, click. Or not. If I can go, you can go in and it'll still be okay. You can usually go a little bit further. Like that. There we go. So I place the ring somewhere in the middle of the arena and go boom.
Right.
He started again. He has. At the moment, we're just learning. Zach is going to do New Game Plus, aren't you?
I am.
To learn through to play the story. Again, the story is best placed at your own pace. And for you, Zach, I actually really do recommend playing with NPC characters.
Yes, that I was going to.
Is
There a button to do that, or is it literally like? Does it
Good
just
question.
Tell you, like...
I can't do it right now.
Okay.
We shall explore that when we leave.
Okay. Right. So if I go a little bit more further.
Don't forget your shield rampart when it comes. I think you have to talk to these trees.
Oh dear. Okay.
And then something will appear. You find a switch.
Yeah, press it.
And then this one.
Okay.
Banging tune. There we go.
Oh god.
Okay, don't panic.
Okay, rampart,
what are we doing?
Done. Okay, I've done it.
Don't need to do rampart yet.
Oh, but I did it.
Save rampart.
Yeah, I know.
When you do the red thingy. It's okay. It's alright. You learn from it.
Alright, I need to go into a wall though, don't I, actually?
You don't have to go right up to the wall. Just make sure the boss is not pointing.
Facing everyone else.
Yeah. So get out of that AoE.
That,
even tanks need to get out if they can manage it.
Yeah.
So my bio is off, so I'm popping one off again. They don't last very long.
Alright, get out of that.
So my fairy seems to be doing nothing apparently. Oh no, it is doing something. Embrace. There we go. For me, at this lower level, my fairy is doing all the healing, so I don't really have to pay. I do have to pay attention, but I just don't have to heal myself. I could just spam ruin. There you go. You did it. Yeah. First boss done. Well done.
Yeah, get in the ground.
You've done it. Well done. Congratulations. You picked it up very well. And to be honest with you, mate, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's all you've learned. The absolute basics you need to know tanking.
Yeah.
It's just other skills now piled on top. Zach's playing Paladin.
Yeah, still in Paladin class.
Refresh. So, what do we do when you enter a dungeon? That's the first thing we do.
We put on Iron Will.
Yep, or whatever the tank equivalent is.
Yeah.
And what does that do?
Mine anyway. And that basically puts on tank. It basically makes me tank.
Yep.
Like it. Yeah.
And then when you see the first mob, what do you do?
Shield lob.
Shield lob or your tank equivalent?
Yeah.
I think for warrior it's throw me axe. Throw me axe.
Throw my axe.
And then
it depends on how many there are in the pool. If there's one, you do the rotations, single rotations, and then if it's the more than 3 or 3 abouts, then you do the AoE attacks.
Yep. Warrior can do tank and DPS. Yeah. Warrior is the best single player tank because you can literally do majority of the main game content solo with a warrior, and that's because with the warrior his attacks also heal. That's why a lot of people like warrior. They can heal as well as attack. So yeah, you basically got it down. So go through your defensive rotations when you stop. If you feel like you're about to die, you pop off that one skill so your HP doesn't go below 1.
Yep.
Give your healer a chance to catch up.
You pop off Rampart.
And you don't have to pop off Rampart, but it's good practice. Good practice.
Yeah.
And then when you get to a boss, get him to a wall. The shield lamp part first. First. Get them up to a wall or to a end of an arena without you falling off. Just make sure they are not pointing towards everybody else. And then you rotate through your defensive skills when you get the big red arrow on you, or you're about to get hit.
Just someone's at the door.
Okay. And everyone on Twitch, thanks for joining. We are Guy in a Hat Games and ZakashiGaming, and this is the lovely Tuya. I love her dress coat mage thing. I love how it's got all these pockets. I love pockets. I love pockets. Which one is this? Which one is it to get it away? Heal. There we go. I am learning Scholar.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
You're back. Sorry. You ready to move on?
Yeah, ready to move.
You've got 36 minutes left in this dungeon.
Okay.
You want to grab the treasure coffer? Don't have to. You can leave it if you want. There's nothing in there that you can use.
No.
Well, they might do, I don't know. I'm not going to use any of these. Pass. Pass.
Oh, yeah, I remember doing this. So you go to your loot and then you just pass it all.
So we got another boss straight away now.
Oh, another boss.
Yeah, well, after we deal with these mobs. Don't forget to complete your map. So you go ahead.
Right. Okay, there's 3
Scurvy dog.
So let's go.
So one of them's got. Oh no, you got him. Yo, you got him. Well done. Didn't have to tell you.
3 of them, so I got to do my AoE attack.
Unfortunately, I don't have an AoE, so I have to do it one at a time.
Yeah. Okay, now it's 2. I can go down to my 2, my singles.
Cool.
There we go. GG. Right, there's the, and this is the boss. Okay, same again.
Yeah, so this boss is not a single one, it's a multiple, and it's the same basic tactic as pulling large mobs, just a smaller one. Just make sure they are all on you.
Yeah.
Mechanics as for bosses is more for, I don't want to say more for, everyone has to pay attention and deal with it appropriately. It's just everyone has to deal with it differently. So typically DPS tanks have to deal with the mobs, get them dead quickly, while the tank you is focusing solely on the boss.
Yeah.
So tank draws anonymity from the big boss, while everybody else deals with the little bits until they're dead, and then they can refocus on the boss. Healers keep everyone alive and join the DPS. That's it. So again, scholars, any scholars in the room, you can preempt. Scholar is very cracking tune. Scholars are very much a job that favors preemptiveness to get things going before things happen. So I want to place, and I want the fairy to go close to wherever I feel you are going to go. So there.
Yeah.
So the fairy's off, away to go. Fairy's healing an AoE cone. So whenever you're ready.
All right then. Oh, I did it again.
All right, it's okay.
I didn't need to do rampart. Do I need to do it? Did I need to do it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Do it whenever you see. If I see the red thing, I'll point it out.
Okay.
Okay. I'll slit your throat and toss your corpse in the... I forgot what it said. Where are me men? Where are me maidens? So see, I'm a bad healer / DPS because I'm focusing on the boss when I should be focusing on the mobs around it to get them dead quicker.
Oh, he ran off.
There we go. Oh. Nope. This is what I do now for the lower level ones. I look at the outfit to see if it's pretty. Rather than the actual stats it does. Okay. So we got a few people here.
Yeah.
Not a boss room, but there's a few people here, so... Oh, wait a minute. Where the hell is my fairy? Gone off again. Here we go. At least I know now I can summon it back if I've gone too far. Okay then. You know what to do?
I do.
Go for it.
Okay.
Excellent. And healers, don't be afraid to get in there. Just because you're a healer doesn't mean you can't step into the ring. Get yourself in there. Because don't forget, as you are casting off your spells, you are also doing normal physical attack with just your book. Like Tuya will just hit the enemy with her book in the face. And that's okay, because it's extra damage that you wouldn't be doing if you stood so far away. Just don't go so close that... Like, if it's going to be a detriment to you, stay far away, but... As long as you avoid AoEs, and the tank is doing the job, yeah, get in there. Won't do you any harm, see? It's extra damage that you wouldn't have done if you stood far away. So get yourself in there. It won't do you any harm. Until it does, then you need to pull back. There we go. So grab the key.
Grab the key.
And we're gonna go up here.
That way.
Cool tune, by the way.
Oh god.
Nope. There you go. The good thing about playing these low level dungeons is that, for you especially, because you've already got a level 70 tank,
Yeah.
they're going to be easy. You're going to walk through them. Take them as a practice opportunity. And then when you want to add difficulty, I'll show you how to do it.
Okay.
There's an NPC in here who I love, by the way. Open the door.
Yep.
This one. This cat girl here. I'm not one of them. I swear on what little remains of my virtue. I love that one.
There's a battle here, man.
There you go. I'm not one of them. I swear, a little remains of my virtue. Actually, you've got this. I'm just going to chill over here. I'm just going to dance over here. You got this. Take it away. There you go.
There you go.
This one.
Okay.
Well, what little remains? I'll take her virtue.
Jesus Christ.
No problem, Matt. Thanks for the lurk.
Yep, thank you for the luck. Right. Now where do we go?
I think it's this way. Oh. No.
So, with the tank, I guess every attack I do increases my anonymity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically make sure that I always keep it.
I don't think every attack does, but a lot of them do. Like the shield blob does the most.
Yeah.
So if someone is just not aggroing towards you, do a shield lob or provoke.
Okay.
You have an ability called Shirk as well, which is good for if you're in a party with two tanks.
Mm-hmm.
If you're about to die and you need to just get rid of anonymity, use Shirk to swap it to the other person.
Yeah.
But I think in this one, you're going to get the red circular thing. I don't think... Oh no, maybe not.
Okay.
I can't remember. We'll find out.
I'll find out.
Oh. There we go.
I got him. I got him.
You'll probably need to pay a little attention to your HP. Scholars, don't be afraid to get in there, or any healers. No. We're winning. We are winning.
Well, we're winning.
It's just because we don't have DPS, this would be over in about 5 minutes, because they do all the damage. So, I have aggro, so what we're going to do?
I'm using my AoE attack.
There we go. Yeah. Sick. Well done.
Aye.
GG.
GG.
You need to go over there to complete your map.
I think I do.
If you check your map, it'll... You definitely don't need to do like wall to wall. It's just you check your map, and when you get close in there, it'll show some of it. Unless there's an item in there.
No, nothing in there.
God, I love SMT3 soundtrack. I adore it so much. Have you got any music requests? Oh, you can't hear it, can you?
No, I can't hear it
No.
anyway, even if I could. Right. Let's
Feels bad,
continue.
man. I'll put some SMT4 on battles for myself then. I'm actually quite happy that my PC can actually do all this crap while streaming. I don't know what it is. This game, it can do it. But other games, it can't. Hey, Paigey, how are we both getting on? Zach's doing very well. He's picked it up so quickly. Good for him. See, look, he's already there.
I'm already in.
I'm faffing about over here, not paying attention. I'm just going to stand here, let him do it. Oh, his health is a bit low, like. That's alright, the fairy can take care of it. Go on, lad, you can do it.
I can do it. I can do this.
You can do it. You got this. There you go, you go to single now.
Yeah.
Easy, well done.
Here we go.
Have you on loud for a sec? So glad you're good. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Paige. Yeah, he's doing well. He's picked it up.
I'm not doing too bad, I think.
You're doing great. You're doing very well. No, you've already picked it up. See, this is like, even though this is the first dungeon, it's a great first dungeon. It teaches you everything you need to know. And then, and to be honest with you, a sheep. Yeah, that's a sheep. That's a sheep. It's Bernard. When I get out of this dungeon, I'll show you. So I might need to help a little bit with this one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Oh look, I actually have to do a job. I've got one anonymity, so check your enemy list.
Oh, it's probably the Reaver.
Yep.
Thing.
There we go.
I'll pull him over here. There we go. Probably should have stood next to that Reaver.
Okay, don't worry. Just
thinking about it.
Always make sure to check your enemy list just to make sure there's no. Well, for you want them all to be red, don't you?
Yeah. Although they were all red on my screen for some reason, I don't
Sometimes,
see...
you know, other party members can do so much damage that, or do so much healing. That also happens where, for a split moment, they have anonymity.
Yeah.
That's why you've always got to be continually checking your enemy list to make sure you are seeing full reds.
Mm-hmm.
Right then.
Oh. Cutscene. Okay, so this one's definitely looks like a big boss.
So I think this one is going to do the red thing, the red circular thing. I can't remember what it was called. So after you.
Alright, after
Go when
me.
you're ready.
I'm off. I'm going. I'm ready. You're coming after me. Yeah, have it.
So see, with this boss, you don't have to go up to the wall. You just make sure they're not pointing at, you know, not pointing at me. And healers, don't forget, if you're comfortable, get right in there. Make sure you get some extra damage with your book. Be mindful of the AoE. You want to kill the boss as fast as possible, and do whatever it takes to do that, even if it means just getting a little bit closer. If you can spare the time to heal.
Oh.
So yeah, so I should be attacking these. There we go. With our item level, we don't really need to. We could just... So I could just bring them to you.
Yep, and I'll do my AoE attack.
So DPS and healers, you can also help the tank by bringing enemies to the tank. Usually it just requires to go up to them. Yeah. Barry's doing all the legwork here. I'm not even healing you. That's what the fairy's for. That's why you play Scholar. Thanks for the lurk, Pagey. And... well done.
Yeah.
Well done. You did it.
We did it.
You've done your first dungeon run as a returner. GG.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Well done.
It's like the whole day to do.
It's okay. We're learning. Okay, so always get a big golden treasure chest over here. So if you do the honors, you've earned it. Although I don't think there's anything in there that's going to help you at this low level. Then you leave.
And then I leave.
And we're back. Woo!
Woohoo! Oh yeah, I'll take off Iron Will. Yeah, let's go.
And that's tanking.
That is it.
That is tanking. How'd you feel?
I feel pretty good. I feel comfortable enough because even with my current setup as well, I feel like I can. I mean, obviously there's a lot of new stuff as well, so it's like okay, well, some of it's going to be good for certain bosses, some of them aren't going to be, and.
It's a shame that boss didn't do the red circular things to show you of like that's when you need to do rampart and things like that.
Yeah.
Basically, that is tanking. What we've learned there for you for tanking is what you will be doing all the way through to end game. The only difference is you'll be learning more skills and you have to weave them into your rotations, but you are ultimately doing the exact same thing. Going up to a mob, pulling them, getting all aggro on you, AoE if there's more than 3, single if there's 2 or less. And you can pull as many or as few as you wish. You know, don't let other people... You know, you will get comments if you play with other people that say, you know, go wall to wall. But you don't have to. You just say, I'm not comfortable, or I'm just comfortable doing one. And most of the time, you'll go, okay. 90% of the time, you're going to be absolutely fine with people. It's the rare few, and I wouldn't even worry about them. They are in the wrong. So, who was that? Was that me? Did I get a message?
Did you? Probably.
Oh, I did as well. Let me just reply. Mm. There you go. See, chat, this is why I have Bernard blocking my chat, because I might get a message. So, would you like to do a trial? A boss? Would you like to take on Ifrit?
Yeah, go on then.
Again, it'll just be us.
Okay.
It'll be level synced.
Yeah.
And unrestricted party, so it'll just be us two, and we will do the Bowels of Embers. Let's go.
So this one's definitely going to be doing that move, like.
It will, yeah. So this is a good time to learn how to manage a boss, because this is when you are going to be playing with other people. So it'll be good now to get through a boss run with smaller amount of skills, and for me too, because I, you know, where's my thingy bob? Oh, I got him here. Cool. So let me go over what I've got. So the boss won't start until you get into range, so don't worry. So I've got physic, that one. No. Oh, I've got the exact same skills as before. Oh no, I haven't. I've got Whispering Dawn. Orders Fairy to execute Whispering Dawn. Gradually restores the HP of all nearby party members. That's good. So that's my AoE regen. Great.
Okay.
And it doubles as a heal. Okay, so what else have I got? That's it. So check what skills you've got.
Yeah.
So at level 22.
So nothing really on the actions. So nothing from
Check your rolls.
my rolls. I have interject, which interrupts the use of a target's action.
You're gonna need that possibly. So you'll sometimes an enemy will do a attack. It looks quite slow, and you'll know when it is because the bar will be blinking. It'll go, you know, it'll have like a pulse to it.
Okay.
And when it's doing that, it's charging up for an attack. And that's when you want to use that. It interrupts it. But you want to use it when the bar is about 3/3 of the way in. So you are wasting the boss's time. But that's quite an advanced tactic, so keep that in mind. But if you see it and if you want to pop it off straight away, fine, do it. So at least have one equipped somewhere on your person.
Yeah. Okay, so.
And for this one, part of the fun of doing a boss fight is a student has just drove their truck into an electric box on campus. There's no power now. Ho! Ho ho ho!
Oh dear.
That student's definitely electrifying. Ba-dum-ts. Ba-dum-ts. I'll see myself out.
Yeah, you might have to run that one.
I'll see myself out. I'll see myself out. Boom, I'm dead. So, bloody hell, how'd you manage that? Whole student campus off. Sorted for you. Free day, is it? So, have you got that skill mapped?
I'm just trying to map it now to my number 2 slots. So let's go to interject, and then pop that on circle, right? And then I have reprisal at level 22, which is reduces damage dealt by nearby enemies by 10%.
That is... I have that as well. That's another tank ability. Another defensive skill. So you definitely want that map somewhere.
Problem is like you have so many. You have the main ones that you really want to use, and then you have yeah. You've got to go to another side. Yeah. Okay. Right. I think I know where to put that actually. Makes sense to put it on that side. So map. Oh no. Step 2. Roll reprisal, and then pop it on there. Okay. Right, now if I go here, yes, I can access it. Right, okay. I can access interject and reprisal. Okay, sorted.
Okay, you good?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, again, scholars, you can place your fairy somewhere wherever the tank is going to go. So most likely, hold on, where are we going? Not the middle, because
no, you don't.
It's more like middle, upper, wherever the tank's going to go.
Yeah. So I'm going to go behind. I'm going to go to the other side of that.
So you don't want it right up there, because the boss isn't going to be there all the time. It's going to move around. You don't. I can't remember what the AoE coverage is. I need to learn that myself. So maybe not the middle, but somewhere here. It's like a middle half. Like imagine the circle is cut in half, and then the middle of that. So here. Plenty of distance away. And it gives the tank something to pull towards as well.
Yeah.
So, boss fight.
Boss fight.
Shield lob.
Yep.
Putting them away from someone.
Mhm.
Make sure you got your tank stance on, which you have.
I have.
And that's it. That's all you need to do. Go through your single target rotations and dodge AoEs. Check where the boss's anonymity is. Don't have to worry about the mobs too much if there is mobs.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about that for now. And when you see the big red circle, pop off a defense skill. And you want to pop it off closer to... I don't think there is a bar actually, so... It's like, don't pop it off the minute you see it, wait a few seconds, and that's just so you get an extra few seconds for your run part.
Yeah.
So, whenever you're ready, we'll go.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's only us two. It's going to be fine. We're going to win. And if we don't, we'll start again. Healers, don't be afraid to get right up in his ass. Don't forget your extra physical attack damage will do extra damage.
Oh yeah, did I? Yep, well remembered.
Like that, you couldn't block.
No.
Alright, you're doing well. Doing something. Oh, this is for me to get out of the way. There we go. Back in. Oof. Alright, my fairy is doing the work there. Good job, fairy. For me to get out of the way. Oh, it's the battle track from SMT4, which is taken from SMT3 when you're facing the Like the Mother Harlot.
Oh yeah.
The little fiends. Not the little fiends, but the fiends. Like Matador. It's that track.
Oh, that's a great track.
So now I am trying to get rid of this infernal nail. I don't think I'm going to do it in time though.
Oh yeah, so those things, that's not my job to do. That's down to DPS, right?
Typically, yes. Your job is to get the boss away from everyone else while they are dealing with the mobs.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were successful though. We shall find out. No.
No. Okay.
Okay. In this instance, you might have to come and help me.
Okay.
Because my healer can't do enough damage on my own.
Right. Okay.
But yes, normally you focus on the boss.
Yeah.
While everyone else focuses on the mobs, because usually the mobs will, if they're still alive, will do something like that. It's an AoE instant death.
Yeah.
But in this case, you'll have to come and help me because I can't do the numbers.
All right,
try
we go
again. Oh, and scholars, I do this all the time. I keep forgetting to summon me minion. Same for summoners. Make sure you summon your minions, because when you die, they disappear.
Oh, that's a pain.
Yeah, it's like sometimes with tanks, your anonymity can go away. Doing well. I tell you what though, my anxiety for streaming is greatly diminished. I was not nervous at all coming on here today.
That's good.
And probably because I've been streaming a lot lately, not like on Twitch, but in general, like on Discord with other people. I think I'm just used to it now. Definitely helped me.
Right, let me know when it pops up.
You'll see it in your enemy list.
Oh yeah, it'll go down the side. Yeah.
Oh, and he's saying something, so it's about to pop any minute. Here we go.
There we go. Right.
So
Okay.
you'll have to come and help me.
I'm on the way.
Still, if you do need to come and help, still try to point. Good. In this case, it doesn't matter. Yep, you're doing it. Good job. I don't even need to heal you. Barry's doing all the work.
There we go.
Okay, now just get this will do. There we go. So now it's back in. Same thing again.
There's nothing we can do about that. We still take damage no matter what.
Yeah, we'll take damage, but it's not,
it's not
dead.
Full on. Yeah. Wait, when did I use Rampart? I don't remember using it.
Get out. There you go.
Oof.
There's still some AoEs you need to get out, like that one and that one. And think of it as, like, tanks can stand in AoEs and probably live. But what you're doing is you are taking away an attack from the healer, if that makes sense. You're giving the healer more work by standing in them. Whereas you want them to be attacking with you as well. So get out of AoE so the healer doesn't have to heal and continue to attack, because you want the boss dead as fast as possible. And dead. Well done.
And there we go. And he didn't even do that thing as well.
Yep. No, he didn't actually. No. I don't know when that appears. I don't know which boss that appears. You want to do another one?
Yeah, let's do another.
We'll stick with Realm Reborn. We shall do. I'd be cruel.
Oh no.
I'd be cruel. Thing is, if I be cruel to you, I'm also being cruel to me as well. Now this one should definitely bloody do it. And it's got a sick track. Titan! Titan! So now check what skills you got. You're at level 30 now, so you should definitely be having a bit more stuff to do.
So I've definitely got my my main Paladin stuff because that's all come out.
So
yeah.
now I have my AoE healing. Okay.
So what is it up to now? 30... Just up to 30?
36.
36, okay. So I've now got my Rage of Harlow, which is my third my third attack in my single rotations.
Good.
Which combos, so that's good. And then my rolls, I have Arm's Length.
That's another... It's not quite a defensive ability yet. You include that in your defensive rotation, usually at the end. It's usually the last one you pop off. Like for me, on my screen, I have that, and I use it at the end. You can also use it as when you know a boss well enough that they're going to use a knockback attack or a draw-in effect, which they do. Most bosses do. If you know it's going to happen, you can pop that off. And it'll keep you where you are.
Okay. So I'll put that on my thingy bar there. Right, hang on. Let me do that. So that's a situational one. So if I plop that one on here, and there we go. So situational, not always needed. And I think that's about it.
Place mine there-ish.
Although, why have I got access to... Hang on. Let me go check them. Let me check my actions again.
My actions are different to yours. I'm healing.
Ah, right. I've got a few others. So I've got Spirits Within. Delivers an attack with potency of 270. So that's a
That might have a long
that's an AoE attack.
Oh, is that? It should say on your chart if it links to an AoE. So I haven't got it to show you. With DPS and tank, it'll show you which ones are.
Oh, is it not?
Your 1, 2, 3 combos.
Oh no, it isn't. Sorry, no, it's not. Prominence is the next one from Total Eclipse. So what's Spirits? So Spirits Within is delivers an attack with a.
Did you watch that video I sent you where he does the mapping for you? Paladin one.
No, I don't think I did that one.
That's a good one to do. I'll resend it to you later.
Right.
What that does, he just copy where he places the skills, and he puts them in a very logical order, and it makes sense. It's very good to follow.
Okay, so just all right then.
And it puts skills in place for when you get them.
Right.
As you see for me, if you look at my screen, I've got skills here, but they're all grade. I can't use them.
Yeah.
I haven't. Oh shit! Didn't want to do that. Oh well. Never mind. So all these I can't use, but they are there when it's ready. Okay. When I need to do it. So. So I have a shield now. Add lol. So for scholars, they are shield healers. They are primarily dealing with shields. So if you look at our HP, we have an extra little yellow bar. And it's gone because it's gone. And that's our shield. So it just gives us an extra HP.
Okay.
Kind of. That's for scholars and healers. You want to do them pretty quickly and keep them up to date. So it nullifies damage equaling to that. Also grants that. Nullifying damage equal to that. So healers, you want to get your shields up. Start attacking. If your HP gets low and you need to heal quickly, then we've got Sucker for mass healing. Physic for single target healing, which is more potent. Got Whispering Dawn, which is, I believe, like a regen. The regen, basically. But it's cheaper to spend, is it? Instant. Okay. So I want to be doing Regan first. It's instant. With some healing. Then get a shield on. Oh no, wait. When critical HP restored, also grants can nullifying damage. I need to research that, which one's more effective to pop off first. So I'm going to give you Regan first because it's instant cast. So it doesn't matter when I use it. So it's at instant and there's no, and then that lasts for 21 seconds. Shield, that lasts for 30 seconds. And then bio, they're the same. Okay, I think I've got it. So, for you, it's the same as the last one. Exactly the same. So it's shield, point him away.
Yeah.
When he does the red, I'm nearly positive he's going to do the red thing where you need to pop off a shield defense skill.
Okay.
And make sure which ones you've got. I don't know what that one is. That sounds specific.
It reduces damage taken by 15%.
Okay, yeah, include that in your rotation.
That's part of my oath gauge.
Okay. So you want to keep them in mind for your rotation. You want to do typically the one which has the instant one, and it has the shortest recast time. So for me, I keep these here. I don't click on them. They're just there to give me visual indication. I use this one first for my warrior because it recharges in 25 seconds, but it only lasts 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? So I can use that. I've got that for 6 seconds, and it's going to be 25 seconds until I can get access to it again. Once those 6 seconds are up, I use Vengeance, which has 120 seconds recast time and only lasts 15 seconds. Once those 15 seconds are up, I should have access to Raw Intuition. I pop that off again, and then once that's done, I go to Rampart. Once that's done, I go back to this. Once that's done, I go to Reprisal. Once that's done, Roll, then Arm's Length, and then I should have all of them ready again. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Paladin, Dark Knight, and what was the other one? Warrior.
Warrior, yeah.
They'll all have something similar. Well, they'll definitely have Rampart, Reprisal, and Arm's Length because that's a shared one between all of them. They all have that. So a tank will have a couple. So this is my tank one. I'm sure there's another one which I forgot to add on. I'll find that out later. So Paladin will have at least 2 at this stage. So look to see which one you have. That has the smallest recast time, and do that one first.
Okay, so
Hey Paigey, I'm doing some emotes.
Sheltron has a 5-second recast. Lasts for duration is 4 seconds.
I think that's tied to a bar, isn't it? Though.
Yeah, that's only to that bar.
Okay, so so you won't be able to pop that off all the time. But if you have if you have that bar up, might be worth doing. Spend that rather than these ones, because these take forever and they're quite precious.
Yeah, and then the only other one that I've got is Rampart.
Yeah, so it's just them two then. So if you got energy in the bar, pop the other one off. If you don't, use Rampart.
Yeah.
So, and you won't need to use them all the time. Only when... good shout, Iron Will. I forgot about that one. Just use Rampart when you got to use the big... And he's going to do the big red thing.
The big red thing.
So, after you. Take it when you're ready.
Okay.
You're going to be fine. I'm not going to tell you the mechanics, because that's spoilers.
No. Alright then.
But it's easy anyway. Just go when you're ready. And I want to use this one. And then... And back. So I put shield on you, which is already gone. Oh my god. Doesn't last long, does it? To get rid of it, does it? See, I'm learning too.
Why, is he doing something that gets rid of it?
Oh no, it's on me. I'm just doing it wrong.
Oh.
Not in the red though. Not in the red. There you go.
Oh. I'm guessing that would have knocked me off.
It would have. I can't remember which one of these I need. Is it this one? Lucid Dreaming, that was it. I can't remember. God, I forgot how busy healing is. Doing well there. I would still try to get him close to the edge as possible, but not over the edge. Oh, never mind.
All right.
Okay, you need to get me out in a minute. Now, you need to get me out.
Okay.
Okay, we're back in.
I'm back in. Why can't I target him? I can't target him.
You need to target his heart.
Oh, there we go.
Doing well. Not doing the bloody red thingy bajig.
No, they're not, are they?
What the fuck was that? Oh, that's because we didn't kill the heart in time.
No.
That's okay. We'll do it again.
Okay.
I need to be more aggressive. Alright, we'll do it again.
Yeah, we got it. We got this. We know what we're doing.
I forgot my fairy. I'll just put shield on you, because it's only you that needs it. Back over here. Get out of the way. Okay. Dreaming, got my MP back up. Lucid Dreaming, for those who don't know, is like regen, but for casters, it's for MP. Now it's the heart. In a minute.
Alright.
Now, just go on the aggressive.
Yeah.
Need to get me out. Get out of the AoE.
Oh god. No, I'm off!
That's where we get out of that AoE.
Oh, I thought I got out in time.
No. Alright, we'll do it again.
I must have just had my little booty still in it.
Alright, don't worry. We'll do it again. This one's quite hard to do without a DPS. It's definitely possible. It's just because we're level synced.
Yeah.
But we can definitely do it.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Let's do it. We can do it.
Ryan, what do we do? Summon the fairy. We summon the fairy. Oh, Mr. Hat, rather.
Aye, Silver Fox, Mr. Hat.
Really, today it would have been a good practice to do. Do the Silver Fox channel. I go live today. Yeah. But I didn't have it ready in time.
That's fine.
Shield. No point me having shield. Get out of the way.
Okay.
With that attack, it's get to the red, but not on the red. You want to get close to as possible.
Yeah.
So, get me out now. Get out of the thing.
Oh god, yeah.
Thank you. And we just
back to the heart.
hammer on. It'll be close. Good. Now we do go straight back on him.
Yeah.
Back on him. Go.
There we go.
Get out of them.
Oh god, oh god. I need to start paying attention. Maybe I need to go out a bit more like your screen. I'm quite close.
As long as he is pointing away from me, okay. It's more efficient to get them a bit closer to the edge to give other people more room. Because don't forget, other players, right, get me out now. Because other players have skills that rely heavily on positionals, and you're helping them out. I don't have positionals, so it doesn't matter where you put the boss. But if I was playing monk, then positionals are very, very important, and tank is to help them out as well. It helps by getting them, by giving them a lot of room. You have to get me out again.
Okay.
Typically, that'll be a DPS job.
Yeah.
But you have to be DPS today. Yeah, I didn't do it in time. It's okay, I'm still alive though, so I'll pop off there. Get bio on. You are healed enough. I'll do a shield. No point giving me shield. I think I'm gonna get hit. There you go.
There we go. Woo.
Easy.
In the end.
It was really easy. It's not that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Congratulations. Still didn't do that bloody AoE though.
Nope, still didn't do the thing.
Oh well. I'm sure Garuda does it, but it's up to you. Do you want to go for Garuda or do you want to call it quits?
No, we're best probably calling it
That's
there
fine.
for today because.
How'd you feel?
No, honestly, thank you so much. You have been actually a really good. You've been really good teacher. Really
No, it's
good.
absolutely my pleasure. I'm always happy to help a fellow newbie, and you, of course. Always happy to help.
No, I feel much
any
better.
problems,
Yes,
let me know.
I'll get when you get that video sent. I'm gonna set it up to how they have, and I'll learn that. And then hopefully, I should be a pro by the end of it all.
Yeah, all right. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy, dude. Yeah, well done. I thought you picked it up incredibly well. You picked up the main points of tanking easy enough. You know exactly what to do now. Now it's just practicing the lower level. Actually, no, the best practice now is for you is to just play the main story.
It's just good for
but
story,
with NPCs. I don't think every dungeon will have NPCs, but they'll have enough.
Yeah.
You will be playing with other people eventually, so that's a good practice too. Good thing with doing it early dungeons though, with other people, is more likely they're going to be returners and they're going to be newbies as well, and you'll have one person who knows what they're doing. So take your time, enjoy the story, and just take it from quest 1 and just do one quest at a time. You'll have I hope you enjoy the story. Validate my feelings.
I'll try my best.
You'll be surprised how quickly you get through the story. Because when we did the dungeons now, you'll be flying through them if you do it with other people. Like flying through them. If you want to do it with NPCs, you'll still have a good time. Just take your time, have fun.
Yeah.
If you want to come back and play again, we'll play again.
Oh no, definitely. I'm more than happy to.
Get out of here. And remember, always log off in a... Well, just log off by a main Aetheryte, one of these.
Yeah.
You can tell by your EXP bar around here has a little moon crescent on it.
Yeah.
Log out because you get a cumulative extra. Oh, and here's Bernard.
And there's Bernard.
There's Bernard. So if you type in /pet in your chat bar.
Oh god.
Click on Bernard, then do /pet. You should.
Hang on, where do I do that?
Just do it in the text chat. Do you know your text box?
Yeah, where it says, okay, and then just...
Let me remove this. So for me, it's this. So I'll do /handover, which gets them to me.
Mm-hmm.
Then /pet. That's only if you ever want to use emotes.
All right, and then how do I send
Oh, you
it?
haven't got a keyboard. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm doing it. Like I wrote it. How do I send it?
You could do menu, party, no, emotes. So you go to menu, emotes, and you can find it here. If you want.
I wrote it in, but I don't know how to send. How do you?
It's enter. Oh, on the keyboard. I don't know actually.
On the controller, because I'm trying to.
Oh, you did it.
I did it.
There you go.
There we go. I've gently pat the tender lamb.
Oh no. There we go. I'll leave you to it. Thanks for joining us. Everyone in Twitch chat, thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Any lurkers out there, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you've learned something with early level ranking and scholar. Always happy to help a fellow Eorzean adventurer, especially a new one. Look at him.
Hi.
Look how normal he is. Look how normal he looks. So I'm going to end the stream. Everyone, thanks for joining. And we will let you know on various Discords about our new project we are starting very soon. It'll be lots of fun. Everyone, have a cool day. Zakashi.
All right, thank you very much for having me.
And
and
Mel.
oh, smell you all later.
And remember, chat.